Well, hello there, everyone. Bob the Canadian here. This is another live stream, but at the same time, this live stream works great if you're watching it later. Today, I'm going to talk about using emotions and expressing feelings in English. And I know sometimes this can be a challenge for some of you, but I'm going to go through 8 different feelings and emotions today. I'm just going to talk a little bit, though, about my YouTube channel for about 30 seconds. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do click the subscribe button below. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. And if you notice, there's a little bell icon at the bottom. If you enjoy live streams, if you click the bell icon, you'll be able to get a notification when I do a live stream. Again, I'm attempting to do live streams every Tuesday at 4 p.m. That's GMT minus 5. Hopefully that works out for some of you. I know it doesn't work for everybody. I'm just going to do a technical check and we're going to get started. I'm going to make sure my audio is working. At 4 p.m. Looks like things are good. We have Wissam and Rez are both in attendance so far, so that's great. Hello to both of you guys. And let me just do a technical check on this front. I'm using OBS today. I want to make sure that everything flips back and forth. So anyways, welcome. I know for myself when I was learning to speak French, expressing emotion and talking about my feelings was always tricky. So today I'm going to look at 8 different emotions in English, and I'll flip through and I'll try to keep pace here so we're done in about 20 minutes. And we'll flip to the first one, which is usually the easiest one for people, which is happy. So what I've done is I've created a slide where it shows the expression to be happy, and it's describing something called happiness. Thanks, Rez, that's great. So basically what this slide says is you would be able to say, I am happy, and you would correctly be able to say, I have happiness. Notice the difference there. I am happy, I have happiness. And you can see by the smiley face there, I'm going to try and point by the smiley face there that happiness is when you express a feeling of joy or express a feeling of just being content with something. And some synonyms for happy are joyful, to be glad, or to be ecstatic. And each of those has a different, slight different connotation. But you can feel joyful, you can feel glad, and you can feel ecstatic. Let's look at a few examples of each of those. So basically what we're looking at here is you can describe yourself by saying, I am happy today. So you're letting people know that you're feeling content. You can say, I'm glad, I am glad. There's a mistake there. It should say, I am glad that I passed my test. And you could say, she was joyful when her child was born. And you can kind of see the differences there. Happy is a general statement of feeling good. Glad is when you're a little more than happy, and joyful is when you're extremely happy. In the next example I have, he was so happy I'm really happy to have a job. He was so happy to have a job. You can put the word so in front to make it even more. You can say he was very happy, he is very happy, he is so happy. So if you have happy and you say so happy, it means you're even more happy. And ecstatic is something that you would feel, it would be like extremely happy. I was ecstatic when I won the prize. So you have happy, very happy, and then ecstatic is way up here. So that's happy. Happy is a very generic saying. A lot of English sentences that you hear, people will use the word happy. Oh, I'm happy today. How are you? I'm happy. I'm happy today. So let's move on. Next example we're going to look at is the opposite of happy, which is sad. So you can notice by the little face here that when you're sad, maybe you're crying a bit. And so you can say, I am sad, or you could say, I have sadness. So that's the difference there. I am sad, or I have sadness. And sad is after something happens that just wasn't enjoyable for you. We'll look at some synonyms for a sec, and then I'll talk about some examples. Synonyms are words that mean the same thing. I know I used synonym earlier, words that mean the same thing, but a synonym for sad would be unhappy. A synonym for sad would be feeling down or feeling dejected. So let's look at a few examples of those. Examples of sad. So losing her dog made her sad. So in this sentence, someone has lost something. And because they've lost something, they have a feeling of sadness. So losing her dog made her sad. Rez gives another example here of feeling blue. That's a great example, Rez. So losing her dog made her sad or made her feel blue. You could also say, I was sad when my friend left. And you can see in these sentences, each example, there's a sense of loss. You know, the person has lost something. And also you could say, I'm feeling down today. You could say, to extend what Rez said here about feeling blue, you could say, I'm having the blues. I'm feeling down today. So kind of the opposite of happy, just not enjoying your day, you would say, I'm feeling down today. You could also use another example. He is so unhappy at work. So this is another example of using so in the sentence. Or I was feeling dejected when my team lost. Dejected is a very strong version of sad. So to say I was feeling dejected, if your team, let's say you're a soccer fan and your team was at the big game, the big final, and they lost, you would feel dejected. So it's a stronger form of sad. So let's move on to our third example. Here we're looking at angry, angry and anger. So you can be angry and you can have anger. And angry and anger, if you can see by the little face here, it's when you're just really, really frustrated with someone or about something. So it's an emotional state where you are, I'm using angry to describe angry, but you're upset about something. And you've become emotional. You're not happy about it. You're not sad about it. You're mad. You're angry about it. And so you can look at some of these synonyms here. Again, words that mean the same thing. I just want to stop and say hi to Asma. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by and jumping in the chat. And I'm just going to adjust something here for a sec. I think we're good. Yes. So mad, annoyed, and irate are synonyms of angry. And we'll look at some examples of those too. So here's some examples. Losing makes me mad. Maybe you played in a soccer game, and when you lost the game, you were mad because you didn't play as well as you could have. Maybe you lost the game, and you're mad because your teammates didn't play as well as they could have. Another example, I was mad when my friend took my phone. A lot of times, when you express anger or when you are mad, it's a result of something bad happening to you. So maybe a friend of yours took your phone, or for example, maybe you forgot to charge your phone. So you're mad at yourself. You're angry with yourself because you forgot to charge your phone. Third example, she was annoyed with her husband. So if this is angry, then annoyed is less than angry. It's less emotional. And angry is here, and then irate in the last example. He is irate because he lost his job. Maybe there was something unfair that happened, and he lost his job because of something that was not just. And so he is irate. So he could be annoyed, he could be angry, or he could be irate, which is the strongest form of anger. So let's move on to the next. And we're going to look at the emotion of being afraid or having fear. So you can be afraid, he is afraid, or he can have fear, he has fear. So being afraid and fear is when something terrifies you, when you don't want to be in a situation because it causes you a lot of stress. Probably the best example is when little kids are afraid of the dark. So to be afraid is to not want to be in that situation in a very strong way. So let's look at some synonyms. So to be scared, to be frightened, to be terrified. And let's look at a few examples of those as well. So I am afraid of the dark. I'm not actually afraid of the dark, but you could say, I am afraid of the dark. You could say, we are frightened by snakes. We are frightened by snakes. She is terrified of mice, just terrified. Or he is so terrified of ghosts. Notice I've used so there again. He is so terrified of ghosts. Or they are afraid of getting caught. So maybe there's some thieves who are stealing a car and they are afraid that the police might catch them. So those are examples of fear, of being afraid. Next one we're going to look at is the feeling of surprise. So you can be surprised and you can have surprise. And it's important to note that being surprised is usually a positive experience. Usually you're surprised by something good. A good example of surprised, it would be a surprise party when a whole bunch of your friends wait at your house, and when you get home from work that day, they yell surprise, and it's a surprise party, a party that you did not know about. Some synonyms for surprised are shocked, astonished, amazed. And let's look at a couple of examples of how to use this. So here's some examples. I am surprised that you like ice cream. So you can express surprise when you discover something about someone that you didn't know before. So maybe you've just met a friend and you didn't think they were the kind of person that would like really fast cars. And so you might be surprised that they like to watch auto racing. You might meet someone who's wearing a t-shirt that says, that they're a fan of a certain football team. And you might express that you were surprised that they like that team. Another example, they were shocked when they got a speeding ticket. So shocked is more of a negative version of surprise. Like, I was shocked that I got a speeding ticket. I was shocked that the tickets for the concert were so much money. So that's more of a bad version of surprise. Third example, she was astonished when she won the prize. So that's surprise to the point where she didn't even maybe know what to say. She was just astonished. Or the last one, she was amazed that he was smart. That's actually not a super polite thing to say, but maybe she met a guy and thought he wasn't very smart, and then she was amazed that he was so smart. So maybe later on she discovered that he was actually a bit smarter than she had expected, so she was amazed. So that's surprise. We'll move on to the next one. And I have to be clear here that we're talking about love, and we're talking about romantic love, okay? So there's a lot of different forms of love. In this situation, I'm going to be describing the term to be in love, which is when a guy and a girl meet and they fall in love. So this is romantic love. Other examples, synonyms of romantic love, a love between a man and a woman would be to have a crush on someone, to be crazy for someone, or to feel affection for someone. So all of those are fair terms. You could say, when I first met my wife, I had a crush on her before we started seeing each other, before we started dating. You could say that she was crazy for me. I hope she was crazy for me. And you could say that we felt affection for each other. So those are all synonyms for expressions of romantic love, of love between two people. We'll have a look at some examples here. I am in love with my wife. She loves her husband. She has a crush on him. He is crazy about her. She feels affection for him, or he loved her. So these are all examples of sentences where we're using the feeling of love, the emotion of love, and we're using it properly in an English sentence. So you can use these. These are safe to use. Sometimes expressions of love can be a little bit spicy. I don't know what the right word is, but these are all common things to say. You could say, my son has a new girlfriend and he's crazy for her. Or you could say, I think that she has a crush on him. So you have to be a little careful about who you're talking about, but these are all expressions of love that you could use to describe the emotion of two people enjoying each other's company. So let's move on. We're almost done here. Let's look at the feeling of being ashamed or having shame. So this is a feeling that you have when you do something that you don't want people to know about. So you would be ashamed. Let's say that you committed a crime when you were younger. When you were a child, you stole apples at the market, and you would be ashamed, or you would feel shame if people found out about that. So shame is a pretty strong emotion. It's an emotion where you don't want people to know something about you, and when they do find out something bad about you, you feel ashamed about it. And some synonyms are to be embarrassed. That's a lighter form of shame. Or to be humiliated. And to be humiliated is when you do something that's just not acceptable, and everyone finds out about it, and you're humiliated. So let's look at some examples of these, just so you have a better sense of what I'm talking about. I was ashamed that my son failed his test. So maybe you have a son in school, and you want him to do really, really well, and he's not doing well. I want to back up because Rez has mentioned he's used the word petrified before. Petrified is another word for fear. If we go back a little bit, but you can say I was petrified, which literally means you were like turned to stone. You were so scared. Or yes, that's another good example, Rez. I'm going to keep going though. You could say he was embarrassed because his dad stole an apple. So you could say that maybe there's a son and his dad regularly steals things, and the son is just embarrassed. He does not want people to know that his dad is stealing stuff. Or you could say she was humiliated when she lost her job. So sometimes when you have a good job and you get fired, you get let go from that job, you can feel humiliated. So those are all examples of feeling shame, different kinds of shame. Let's go to the next one. I think this is the very last one. So sometimes people get confused with anger and hatred, and they're very different things. You can be angry with someone and still love them, but hatred and hate, they're my least favorite emotions. I think a lot of the world is in a bad way because people hate each other, and hate is when you don't like someone, an extreme dislike for someone. So you can hate someone, or you can have hatred for someone or a group of people. Let's look at some synonyms for a sec. So it's to dislike, it's to abhor, or it's to detest. And those are all levels of hatred that you can have. So dislike, abhor, detest. We'll look at some examples for a sec. We use hate in English lightly when we're talking about things. So you can say, I hate pizza. I hate going to parties. I hate winter. You can use hate in that sense, and it's fine. It's not a strong word. But when you start to talk about people, it's very much a very, very strong word. You could say he abhors people who aren't logical. I detest a messy room. Maybe you're a really neat person and you don't like a room to be messy. You could say she dislikes pets. Maybe she doesn't like cats or dogs. She dislikes pets. Or you could say, I dislike hot weather. So those are all examples of expressing almost the opposite of love. Okay, so if you love something, you really enjoy it. But if you hate something, you do not enjoy it. You do not like it. Those are examples of hate. I'm going to jump to the last slide here for a sec. And basically, this is just a summary of everything that I've gone over. So happy, sad, angry, afraid, surprised, in love, ashamed, and hate. I'm going to wrap it up here I got a few people watching. If there's any last questions, please put them in chat and I'll take care of them. And questions about anything, it's open question time. I'll take a few minutes to do that. Hopefully the little emojis, if you look at the little faces that I put over there, those are called emojis. I think in most languages they're called emojis. But happy is when you smile, sad is when you cry a little bit. Angry is when I can't make an angry face. Afraid is when you go like that. Surprised looks like afraid. So afraid or surprised, they look the same. I don't know how to make a face for in love. Ashamed, though, people generally put their head down in North America. They're ashamed. And then hatred, you can just picture someone yelling at someone. That would be an example of that. So those are the emotions that we've gone over today. So I hope this live stream was good for you. If there's any questions, please do ask them and I'll take care of them. But it looks like at this point, maybe there won't be any questions. That's fine. I just want to put a plug in again. Check out my Facebook page, subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit like if you like this video. That really helps me to get other people to come and watch my videos. Oh, yes, that would be great, Rez. I would love to meet you someday. Maybe we'll do a FaceTime chat at some point. That would be lots of fun. But do click the bell notification down below somewhere. That will help you to get a notification next time I do a live stream. And again, send me your topics. I've gotten a couple of good topics from people in the last few days. And look for another video this coming Saturday around noon my time, around noon Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure what the topic is yet. Last week I knew, but I got a couple things to choose from. But anyways, thank you very much. Thanks you, Asma. Thanks, Rez, for joining in. Thanks, Wissam. Thanks to all the people that are watching this later on. And have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bob the Canadian here. Learn English with Bob the Canadian. We'll see you next week. Bye.